Tidus is taking a break from counting blitzball goals to counting all kinds of counters, which will have you counting commander victories. We'll break down what this deck is trying to do straight out of the box. Then we'll get into the budget-friendly cards I'm itching to get into the 99. And finally, we'll talk about which cards are getting the boot. Let's monkey around. The Counter Blitz Precon has a heavy focus on +1/+1 counters, but rewards skillful play with all kinds of counters. Tidus will show you what I mean. He is a 3/3 for 3 mana in Bant colors, whose first ability triggers at the beginning of combat on your turn, letting you move a counter from a target creature you control onto a second target creature you control. Take a +1/+1 counter from your Walking Ballista and put it on your Incubation Druid to make it tap or triple the mana. Or take a lore counter off Summon Yojimbo and put it anywhere else for repeatable interaction, or to keep that Ghost Prison effect around. Now Tidus' second ability, Cheer, lets you draw a card and proliferate. Once per turn, whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player. Fueling your hand while building up your board? What's not to love? As you can see, both of these abilities are great with +1/+1 counters, but let you mess around with any number of other kinds of counter types. I'll get to that more in the additions. The original 99 comes packed with a robust suite of creatures that either enter with or benefit from +1/+1 counters, like Gyre Sage for ramp, Fathom Mage for card draw, and Luminous Broodmoth for resilience. The deck supports its counter theme with enablers like Hardened Scales and the new spell Sphere Grid to multiply your counter gains. You've also got powerful interaction with cards like Damning Verdict and Riku Resourceful Guardian, ensuring you have a clear path for your growing army. It's a cool take on a classic Bant strategy. Keep your hand full, get huge, and steamroll the opposition. Next up is the 10 card edition package, but please take a moment now to subscribe to the channel. Alright, let's take this Counter Blitz Precon from good to great without breaking the bank. First up, a literal value machine for our counter strategy, Market Back Walker. For XX, this artifact creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, letting you scale its size to your mana. You can also pay 4 to put another +1/+1 counter on it later on in the game. But the real kicker, when this creature dies, you draw a card for each +1/+1 counter on it. It's a fantastic value engine, ensuring you refill your hand if it ever gets removed. Market Back Walker is just 54 cents. Next up is another consistent draw engine, Ingenious Prodigy. For X and a blue, this human wizard enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. It has Skulk, meaning it can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, which is great for getting damage through. And combined with Tidus, that means a drawn card and proliferation. That's exactly what you want, because on the following upkeep, you can remove that counter to draw yet another card to repeat the process. It's a gift that keeps on giving, and it's only 41 cents. In what is the final pure card advantage engine and potential defensive stalwart, I present to you Dusk Legion Duelist. This 2/2 vampire soldier for 2 mana has Vigilance, which is always nice, but the key is its ability. One time each turn, whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on this creature, you draw a card. Yet again, it's consistent card advantage that synergizes perfectly with our commander and overall strategy. Incredible value for 97 cents. Then we have Torgal, a Fine Hound. This legendary 2/2 wolf for 1 and a green offers some unique support. Whenever you cast your first human creature spell each turn, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each dog and or wolf you control. While we're not heavily focused on humans or other dogs or wolves, 13 creatures are human, including most importantly your commander. A fully fixing mana dork that gets Tidus rolling right away is just what I'm looking for, and he's only 15 cents. Good boy. To give our big creatures some much needed evasion, we're adding Abzan Falconer. For just 3 mana, this 3/2 gives all your creatures with +1/+1 counters flying. Suddenly your giant ground creatures are soaring over blockers. That's a huge and possibly game-winning impact for 12 cents. Now this next one is a curveball, but it makes so much sense here. Erixmathy's Slumbering Isle. For 4 mana, you get a 12/12 that initially serves as a land that taps for Simic mana. That's because he enters with those slumber counters, but when you cast a spell, you get to remove one. And by the way, Tidus's first ability can remove them as well, and he can put it on himself to enable his sheer ability on account of it triggering based on any counter type. The synergy is awesome, you get to ramp, and this will become a massive threat, all for 54 cents. If you want to capitalize on those massive creatures you're building, Sovereign Okinek Ahau is your new best friend. This legendary 3/4 cat noble for 2, a green and a white has Ward 2, giving him some much needed protection. Now the real game changer is his attack trigger. Whenever Sovereign Okinek Ahau attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, you put a number of +1/+1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. This means if your 1/1 has 3 +1/+1 counters on it, making it a 4/4, Okinek Ahau attacking will add 3 more counters to it. This effect scales incredibly well, supercharging your entire board. It's an explosive, game-ending creature for $1.99. For another powerful legend, we're adding Sabsunin, Luxa Embodied. This legendary 6/6 god for 3, a green and a blue comes with reach, trample, and indestructible. Also a sweet pair of thighs. The turn you play her, she's a very effective blocker, due to her having an even number of counters and being indestructible. On the following turn, she'll get a +1/+1 counter, and because of the odd count of counters, draw you 2 cards. Now that does mean she can't attack or block any longer, or does it? What if you used Tidus's first ability to move a counter on or off her to return that attacking and blocking ability and then draw you another 2 cards on your following turn? The way you can play around with these counters is quite enchanting, and I think Sabsunin is a slam dunk for that fun and the power. Watermelon squeezing power. You can find her for $1.31. When you're making big creatures, you need ways to make them even scarier, or to just start them big. Enter Conclave Sledge Captain. This 4/4 elephant soldier for 5 and a green has trample, which is even more important than at first glance, because its real power comes from its unique backup 1, backup 1, backup 1 ability. This means when it enters, you can put a +1/+1 counter on up to 3 different target creatures, or all 3 on one, or 2 on one and 1 on another, and so on. You see, if you put those counters on other creatures, they also gain trample until the end of the turn. This provides immediate, massive board impact, spreading counters right where you need them. And even more, when those creatures, until the end of the turn, or the Sledge Captain, deals combat damage to a player, you put that many +1/+1 counters on them. It's a fantastic way to bulk up your board for just 86 cents. Trash the Town is an instant spree spell for a green mana, plus 1 or more of the additional costs. For +2 generic, you can pay 2 mana to put 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature. This is nice for growing our threats or adding counters to creatures like Dusk Legion Duelist for more draw. You can pay 1 mana for target creature to gain trample until the end of the turn. Essential evasion for our giant, counter-laden attackers, and for Tidus to start his cheer. You can also pay 1 mana for target creature to gain whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw 2 cards until the end of the turn. This is pure gas, letting our big creatures refuel our hand. I've always thought, and still do think, that this card is an absolute banger, and it's only 15 cents. These 10 cards total up to just under $8, focusing on incredible incredible synergy, card advantage, and making our creatures even more terrifying. But as you know, as 10 card enters, 10 must leave. So let's talk about the cards getting cut from the original 99. Alright, time to make some tough choices and trim the fat from the original 99 of the Counter Blitz precon. First up on the chopping block is Lord Jiskel Guado. While I appreciate the long-term value of a flying threat and clues to crack with extra mana, I think what we've done on both of those fronts is more optimized. Next is Pull from Tomorrow. As an instant X spell for card draw, it can be powerful. However, with Thetis consistently drawing us cards through combat damage and other card draw engines we're adding, we want our mana focused on developing our board and pushing our counter theme rather than spending a big chunk on a single draw spell. Collective Effort is out. While it offers versatility with its choose one or more effects, they're often a bit too small for the double white mana cost. Gata and Luzu are getting cut. This duo can become quite large, and the protection is welcome. I just think the deck offers better protection options. Tireless Tracker is next. While it generates clue tokens and grows as you sacrifice them, we make no use of artifacts. Like I said before, we have more direct and impactful ways to draw cards and distribute counters without the extra steps. Altered Ego is out. As an uncounterable clone that enters with extra counters, it's not bad on paper. However, paying extra for the counters is rarely the plan, and we often want original threats that directly enable our counter synergies, rather than just copying something else on the board. Moron Venerated Guardian is getting cut. I don't mind the exile until kind of effects, but having it on a creature, the most interactable permanent, makes me nervous. Path of Discovery is next. While it explores when a creature enters the battlefield, potentially finding lands or putting counters, it's often too slow and inconsistent for how quickly we want to build up our board and draw cards. Yuna's Decision is also out. This sorcery lets you sacrifice a creature to draw a card and hopefully cheat out a massive game-changing creature. I guess it also lets you put a land into play or return up to 2 permanent cards from the bin to your hand, but it's really about getting a fatty into play. The problem with that is that this deck only has 5 creatures that cost more than this sorcery. Finally, Yuna's Whistle is getting the boot. Sorry, Yuna. Like I said, most of the creatures you find aren't all that big, and if you don't have a creature on the battlefield, this is nothing more than a very expensive way to draw a card. Here you have again the 10 additions to the Counter Blitz precon. Take a moment right now to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Leave a like, and let me know in the comments your favorite budget upgrade for the deck.